Okay, welcome back to World of Warships, the third video, the final video I'm going to do covering the changes, mainly because to progress any higher I'd have to grind out the Baltimore, Buffalo and Des Moines, and I simply don't have time for that as I'm still going for the British line, but I still wanted to cover this one anyway because it was given me for, well, because I had this ship originally, it was given to me at tier 8. And yes, this ship needs no introduction. It is the Behemoth, the 12-gunned Cleveland. At tier 8, it's been moved up. So this ship has been slightly controversial. It was very, very, very popular. Then it was nerfed because it was a high explosive spamming machine that was taking out battleships. And then it was stuck down at tier 6, and it was a very, very good tier 6. When I had this ship, I thought it was fantastic. I really loved it. I spent so much time with it. I just really enjoyed it. There were, little niggles with it. Things like the gun caliber was not as high as maybe I wanted, and the shots linger in the air for a long time, but it was very, very good. The amount of guns, the rate of fire, everything about it was fantastic. And this thing is amazing at hunting destroyers. And they've moved up to tier 8 rather. They've given it a buff, and well, here it is. This is the start of the tier 8 and onwards. I think they might put in, well, I hope they put in more light cruisers like this. Tier 8 light, light cruiser, the destroyer hunting mega ship, the Cleveland. And they've given it some buffs, so you now have a surveillance radar. You can change it for a spotting radar if you want, or a spotting aircraft rather, but surveillance radar, yes, so within a 9 kilometer range, if you activate that, you will be able to detect any ships if they're hiding in smoke screens or not, and you'll be able to, shoot them and detect them with everyone around you. So if you're working as a team, it's quite a good idea. Obviously, joint with the hydroacoustic search means you'll be able to find things like torpedoes and ships, which is good. So if you have both those running, you'll be able to, you'll be a destroyer's worst nightmare, because 152 millimeter guns, 12 of them, 6 at the front, 6 at the back, firing at, you can see here, 6.5 seconds, high explosive, high explosive really destroyers, and you'll be able to drain their health very, very quickly. Now, this being a light cruiser, I say it's a light cruiser, even though it's huge, it's a very big ship, which is a bit of a disadvantage. Being a light cruiser does mean that you are still very, very squishy. This thing will take a lot of damage very, very quickly. Your range is slightly disappointing. Stock is 14.2 kilometers, and even with the Mark 8 Mod 2, you only get an extra 10%, which is 15.6 kilometers, which is, still slightly shorter than the heavy cruise. So those heavier cruisers along the other line with the Pensacola and the New Orleans. But that really shouldn't detract from this. It is a very, very good ship. I've played a few games with it, and I've done quite well. I'm really, really enjoying it. It just reminds me of the old Cleveland, the pre-nerfed Cleveland. It's just fun to use. It does its escorting role really, really nicely. It's a nice change from the sort of heavier cruisers with those bigger guns that take a long time to fire. Bear in mind, even the New Orleans, you can get 2 shots out with these guns before the New Orleans can fire 1. So with a 13-second cooldown in the New Orleans, this thing's 6.5 seconds. So this thing can have, at full range, sort of three rounds in the air, 3 rounds of 12 in the air, so you'll be able to just lay down constant fire. I was fighting this thing against battleships, and the battleships are having to run away. It just reminds me of the sort of the good old days, when you're joined with a couple of other cruisers and a battleship, and, I don't know, an enemy battleship comes past. It has to think twice about what's the priority target, because you can get so much explosive spam out onto the enemy battleships, and you can set fires. Destroyers fear this ship. I was against a destroyer, we're going around the corner, and this thing just lit it up, and it just devastating strike. It was fantastic. Again, the secondaries on this are just as you expect on the Cleveland. These turrets here are all secondaries, very, very nice. It's all round. It's the good old Cleveland that everyone loves, up at tier 8, which is a little bit dangerous, bear in mind though, because you do have to start thinking about, right, the other cruisers are very heavy, the destroyers are very powerful. You're going to be up against tier 10 destroyers, tier 10 battleships, even tier 10 cruisers. So this thing, you have to be careful with it. Its role is escorting, especially with a defensive AA fire. That thing makes this ship well, a carrier's worst nightmare. So this is a carrier's worst nightmare, a destroyer's worst nightmare, and it gives cruisers and battleships something to think about, which is exactly what the Cleveland was. Everyone started complaining that it was way too powerful, and so they nerfed it, and now I think they've done the right thing. Go to the tech tree, you'll see, up at tier 8, this thing is fantastic. The other battleships, the other cruisers have enough health to sort of offset the, well, the insane rate of everything that this ship seems to have. Nearly a couple of downsides is obviously up at tier 8 everything's getting more expensive. You do get access to this now, so you either get your spotting range and acquisition range put up, you can get your detectability put down, or you can have a rudder shift time, which I'd like to say is one I'm deeply considering, because if you're going to go up against something like a tier 10 destroyer with those very powerful torpedoes, especially Japanese torpedoes, or the gunboats such as the Americans, then you want to be able to sort of rotate your ship quickly, be able to dodge things. So I think what's nice about what they've done with the ship is it's certainly down to you, the player, what you want to do with it. Do you want to be more of a, I don't know, do you want to be hunting destroyers all day, or do you want to be sticking as that sort of escort role? I personally prefer sort of the escort role. I don't think I prefer to have either a slightly lower concealment, especially as this thing's range is already not as good as some of the other cruisers, so being able to have that little edge of stealth means you can get a few shots out before anyone else knows you're there. But other than that, this thing is fantastic. Definitely worth the grind up to. At tier 6 it was already worth it. At tier 8 it's a little bit further to go, but I think you've got some good ships behind it. Going from the Pensacola to the New Orleans to the Cleveland wouldn't be a bad shout, and then obviously you can go to the Baltimore if you like that sort of heavy gun sort of style. They've done a good job with this, and I think the clip or the replay I'm going to show you does a fair job of showing you actually what this thing can do. Again, I would definitely say this is worth it. It's the good old Cleveland that everyone knows, and Wargaming I feel have done this ship justice, as they should have done at the beginning. So we'll jump in. The beginning of this game was very slow. Everyone just sort of getting into position here, and as we're sort of pushing up through sort of the side of capturing D, we're starting to let all the guns out. We're firing armor piercing at the moment because at this sort of range it's going to be just sort of plunging fire. There was a destroyer, and we used our surveillance radar to sort of try and help our team out, work out where they are. And at this point we are also being fired at from that Leon over there, so we're just keeping angle towards them and keeping up the fire against the Shan also there. And as you can see from this sort of range and that plunging fire, you see the shots really do linger in the air for a long time. We're getting two penetrations and 2,000 damage done. Well, now at this point we're changing to high explosives, so we can set them fires as well, because getting the battleships on such low health that it's a good idea to sort of start trying to whittle down their health as much as possible. Always after the Wither Award, which is one of my favourites to get on this game. But as you can see from here, you can look how long these shots linger in the air. We're getting our sort of second salvo out even before it's come back down. And it's not a bad hit, not a bad hit. With 7 penetrations, we're doing 4,000 damage. So nothing like we're getting with armor piercing, but more importantly, we have chances of sort of setting some fires. And that Leon over there, it is only us firing at the moment. It is going to try and decide to run away. There you go, some other teammates helping out. But the good thing about this sort of firing arc is look at that, straight over the side of that mountain, which means we can do some last bits of damage before, yeah, there we go, it's finally gone out of the way, and we can turn our sort of attentions back onto that Shan horse. With everyone sort of focusing on it so much, that thing isn't gonna last very long. But we can sort of take a moment to see how much damage this thing can actually do. How quickly it can start trying to whittle down on the health. If we start to set some fires, that thing will still be burning. Armor piercing and high explosive does a lot of damage with this thing, but that's mainly because of the amount of guns. You know, I was highlighting at the beginning that this thing has so many guns and we can do so much damage so quickly. This thing really does have those battleships on the run. But more importantly, we are also sticking with the team over there. We have got this flank. We have some defenders over at B, and there it is, the first destroyer, which is is exactly what this thing is for. So we're going to start saying shots out. The only downside is obviously this thing, the destroyer is at quite a bit of range, And the amount of time these shots linger in the air does unfortunately mean that it gives the it gives the destroyer some time to run away. If that thing is moving very, very quickly, you're going to have to be very good at predicting the shots. So I would certainly suggest sort of that moving the guns as you fire to sort of get a spread of an area of or where this thing will hit. The spread of the guns themselves, is actually quite high, as you saw when we were fighting against that static destroyer. There were quite a few, there are a few shots that went left, right, forward and backwards or whatever, but that's just because of the dispersion rates in these guns. They are only 152 millimeters, so the dispersion is quite high. And you see at 15.2 kilometers, we are already outranged. That Scharnhorst can fire at us, we can't fire at them. So at this point I was sort of observing behind, because if we sort of get out of that camera and we look behind, we can see that the enemy team will be coming over to B and pushing over at D as well. We are still sticking together. I've got the Scharnhorst, our friendly Scharn on the left, and then Mogami on my left as well, which means we have 2 powerful ships and an Attica on my right. So that's two Japanese cruisers, and we've just launched our hydroacoustic search because there's a smoke screen over there, and smoke screens tend to mean torpedoes coming our way. We'll soon find out whether or not it's useful, but we just want to make sure that we are prepared, because that enemy destroyer is on the move now, and it will be targeting the Scharnhorst. So we're sort of moving in this direction. Let's get an island between us and the Scharnhorst. Let's focus a little bit on the Mogami. Over there you can see the torpedoes from that enemy destroyer, so it's around here somewhere. I just wanted to check that it wasn't going to start targeting me. As I say, this thing is a big ship. You can see it compared to a Mogami. This thing is long, and there it is. There is the enemy destroyer. So we're going to start trying to light it up. And the dispersion is it's just slightly annoying. We've got an interesting. It's so frustrating when you're trying to get the range on this thing, and that destroyer is doing everything right. It's varying its range. It's changing its course and speed. We set it on fire and we stopped it moving, and everyone's sort of focusing on it. So we're doing our best to sort of give it a hand. We're nice, as you can see, this thing is firing so quickly that we can just about take it out before it gets to that Scharnhorst. So we are doing our job. We are defending the Scharnhorst. There was a teammate who was trying to call us back. It is funny how it's never the person who dies' fault. It's always everyone else's fault, the other team's fault. We are holding our flank and we are sticking as a team. If we weren't here, that Scharnhorst would have been just a target number 1 for that destroyer. And so we are now sort of got to focus on that enemy Scharnhorst. This is so frustrating when you have this amount of firepower and you just can't do anything about it. That Scharnhorst is so far away, there is nothing we can do. So we have got to what we're going to do is keep bow on, make sure that we're not giving its broadside, because again this thing can be one-shotted so quickly. We've still got basically, well, we have all our health left, which is nice, especially as there is a hipper there. And yes, we don't have a points advantage at the moment. We're heading up to C, and they've taken B from us. The other flank gone. But if we turn around now and head towards B, all we'll do is we'll sail them one by one, and they'll be able to destroy us. But that Scharnhorst over there is on critically low. It is on reduced health. There are cruisers and a battleship over here, so we might be able to take it out. And more importantly, there is the Chapayev, which we can also shoot at. So another way to get back points instead of capturing, we are trying to capture by the way, is to destroy an enemy cruiser. So that's what we're going to do. So we're starting to just try and take out this Chapayev over there. And you can see we get second shot out even before the other one has landed. And we're just going to do our best to try and get that range. Try and score some plunging fire. It's again doing everything right. It's not giving me the full broadside. We're also varying our course and speed in order to do our best to not be destroyed very, very quickly, because there will be a battleship coming in over there, and so we're doing our damage back. The 152mm guns does unfortunately mean that well, penetrating is rather difficult, which at this point I start reversing because I don't have the turning circle. So going bow on, 6 shots, being able to only fire 6 shots, but more importantly 6 shots every 6.5 seconds. Also we have adrenaline rush, so as you can see it's now down to 5 seconds, so we're still doing that. Well, we're still trying to whittle down the health, and the Tripire's gone. So now it's down to the turrets. As you can see, we also took out the other battleship, and we're all ahead on the points. At this point, it's just about not dying. So I've got bow on. I don't want to show him my broadside. He'll be able to one-shot me easily. You can see how quickly that thing was. Well, that Tripire managed to hit us and, you know, reduce our health. We're down to 18,000 health, and now we're just firing high explosive, trying to get that high explosive spam out. Oh no, maybe the enemy battleship is still alive, but it doesn't matter. Again, we're now lower on points, but more importantly, we've captured C. So I'm trying not to die. At this point, I'm trying to just turn the ship round. It's so long, and the turning circle isn't great, that I'm just trying to get the shots out, and just about missed. And we've set a fire. That's good. One fire set. You know, at this point, I can't disengage. My detection range is high, but he's gone behind the island, which means we can just keep going backwards. That Sherman horse over there isn't targeting us because he can't see us. So I'm going to stop shooting for the moment and wait for that turbot to get back out. And as you'll be able to see, well, I thought I shot. Maybe not. I was just momentarily disengaging. I'm surprised that Shan horse didn't die. I thought he was actually going to. I remember at the time when I was playing this, I was thinking, oh well, you know, the other team would take him out. But we're just doing our best, sort of. Oh yeah, waiting for that turbot to get a little bit nearer. He is going to try and capture D, which would be a bit of an issue. So we've got no other choice really, but we've got to try and reset the cap. That Shan horse is taking a lot of the damage as well. So if he's firing on the Shan horse and not focusing on me, then I got an opportunity to start trying to light him up, trying to help whittle down some of that damage, reset that capture point. If we don't reset the capture point, then they'll be able to take it, and well, we'll almost certainly lose. So again, it's just sort of bringing that front of the ship back, trying to whittle down the damage a little bit more, trying to set some fires, 2 incapacitations. The Tirpitz is... Whoa, that Tirpitz is... torpedo's now been taken out. Well, momentarily, unless he's burning his damage control ability. If he has, that's fantastic. It means any fires we set with stick. We've got that front face. We're still bow on, so if he tries to get arm piercing, hopefully we can sort of ricochet any. And he's now facing the bow. He's now facing the broadside towards us, so we get an opportunity just to turn around a little bit. Turn towards those armor piercing shots that were coming in, and again start firing at the Tirpitz, trying to set some more fires, do anything we can. We're trying desperately to catch up, and we get a fire set, and they took out a reasonably big hit, but more importantly we can fire more shots out. 12 shots out, 3 fires set, and there he is. Now he's really burning. You see how much this thing's whittling down the health, and B has not been off yet. I'm surprised that he didn't actually still try and stay within the capture zone. I think it's more important to take out our friendly battleship. And you see, we're still whittling down the health, and just at this point, it's sort of Operation Run Away. B is now coming back into us, into our hands, and we are still got those fire burning, and now it's just don't die. So we've got the front of the ship facing away, and we're just varying the course, varying the speed, turning this thing round. You see, this would be the point where you'd want that extra rudder shift time. They told me to run. I'm telling them I'm running. I'm doing my best, and we disengaged, which means that the detection range has, well, it's worked in our favour, and that was it. A victory. A very tense time. So there we go. The Cleveland in all her glory. In the game I showed you, it was incredibly tense. In fact, watching it back, I found it very, very tense. This thing will be punished if you give it a broadside. If you keep that sort of bow on, that slim profile, then it tends to be alright. But I've been in scenarios and games where it's the beginning of the match, this thing gets spotted, someone takes a pop shot, they over-penetrate, and they take out half your health, and you just have to deal with it. But in its role, this thing is fantastic. As you can see, it could fire down a lot of shells very, very quickly. It could do a lot of damage very, very quickly. And against a destroyer, once you've got sort of that... I'm still getting used to the guns again on this thing. As soon as you get used to sort of how long the shells linger in the air, this thing will take out a destroyer very quickly. 12 shots of high explosive will just disable it. And so, do I think it's worth it? Yeah, definitely. I said at the beginning I love the ship, and I stand by that now. Doing some of the upgrades onto this thing would be fantastic. Getting the next hull means more survivability, more air defense, more maneuverability, fantastic. And getting that range upgrade is perfect. I'm not there yet. I'm still pushing up. I'm just gonna keep playing this thing. Definitely worth getting that range increase. It's just a big disadvantage to being tier 8 and only having a 14 km range. I know it's for balancing purposes, but it's kind of annoying. But more importantly, I think, over some of the other ships, this thing gives you options, and you can be a destroyer hunter, you can be an anti-aircraft sort of hunter if you want, or you can just be a plain old vanilla bit mixture of everything. As you know, that's what I quite like doing in this thing. So it's the Cleveland we all love, and definitely worth the grind up to get it. Tier 8, I think it suits it perfectly. I've had some real fun in this ship, and I will keep playing it because I really want to upgrade this thing fully, and see if I can get some really good games out of it. But I really hope you've enjoyed watching. I would definitely advise you to take a look again at the American Tech Tree. I know a lot of people were less keen on it, and going up through this is now fantastic. Pensacola at tier 6 as we covered, New Orleans tier 7 as we covered, and then finally to Cleveland. If I do get to the Baltimore, I will do a video on it as I usually do with all the ships I get, and I'll give you my opinion on that as well. But this is the Cleveland, the good old Cleveland. I'm really enjoying it, and I hope you do too. So please tune in next time, and goodbye.